A Maryland player decides to leave the program.
You are Locked On Terps, your daily podcast on the Maryland Terps. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everyone? I'm Tre Moore, video content creator for 247 Sports and AntiMarylandSports.com, and host of Locked On Terps, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So thank you for making us part of your day. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 money line bet. That's $150 if your team wins. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. Tyrese Chambers has decided to leave the Maryland Terrapins program, and it's pretty sad. It's pretty disappointing overall that Tyrese Chambers has decided to leave the program. Now, let me give you pretty much the story behind what exactly transpired and why exactly he's deciding to leave. But he announced he'll be leaving the Maryland program because of personal issues. And the departure was because of family-related stuff. He didn't specify and say what exactly it was, so we really have no idea what the exact family stuff is, but I hope that everything is okay at home, and I hope that everything turns out okay and that he can take care of all that stuff and that all goes well. But overall, he didn't specify the family issues that are going on, but we all hope that Tyrese is going to be okay and his family is doing okay. But this is a quote from Tyrese on the personal issues. He said, "When I came to Maryland, the personal issues were one of the reasons why I wanted to be close to home. My main focus is attending to those things. Those are important to me, and those are the things I need to take care of." So it's clear where his priority lays, and I have no problem with it. His priority lays with his family. And we have no idea what could be going on. It could be something really bad, or maybe it's something not as bad. But however you want to say it, whatever you want to think and guess, and the scale of it, it really doesn't quite matter, because if he doesn't want to be part of the program and he wants to attend to those family issues and really focus on those things, you can't blame him for that. You absolutely can't blame him for that. You can sit here and be kind of sad and disappointed and wish that things could have gone better, but I can't sit here and be mad at him for attending to family issues that he felt the need to go and correct and be there for his family. But the departure also had to do with injuries. Injuries would have probably kept him out the rest of the year, which I honestly didn't know. The Maryland Terrapins injury report is kind of hard to keep track of. You sometimes don't even know who's really injured until the day of the game. I feel like other colleges and then in the NFL, you have like a clear injury report and you know exactly what to expect. But from the Terps, I kind of don't really know what's going on until the game, unless I happen to sometimes read an article on 247, like I said, the day of the game on Inside Maryland Sports, the day of the game, about what is going on or what the injury report is or players that are out. But before that, we don't really tend to know a whole lot. And that's exactly what was part of the reason Tyrese Chambers decided that he was going to leave, actually, is because he had turf toe and he hyperextended his knee. That would have kept him out the year, he thought. So overall, I had no idea that he had turf toe and that he hyperextended his knee. Actually, last game, I was like, where is Tyrese Chambers? Because I hadn't seen him at all. He wasn't playing a ton to start with, but I couldn't find him against Northwestern. I was like, I didn't see a snap of Tyrese Chambers. So I already was kind of questioning what is going on. I don't see him on the sideline. I don't see him in the game at all. And usually they play him a good bit. So I was like, it must be some type of injury or something like this was going on, I kind of expected there to be some type of story, honestly, because he was expected to come in here and make a huge impact. And to be honest, the way the dominoes fell was the top three receivers who were supposed to get the most snaps was supposed to be Jay Sean Jones, Caden Prather, and a lot of people thought it was Tyrese Chambers. I actually sat here and said, don't be surprised if Ty Felton or Octavian Smith end up kind of taking Tyrese Chambers' spot a little bit because I think they're just so talented as players. And that's what kind of happened. Ty Felton was playing elite ball, so you got to play the best player, and Maryland still likes to play everyone, but Tyrese Chambers couldn't really get on the field. So as much as you probably would have thought at the beginning of the year, but he still was playing a good bit, and I thought he would play more. And I actually said on the other day, I said, we need Tyrese Chambers to step up. We need him to give us a couple catches per game, especially when our wide receiver room has definitely slowed down a bit. But this is what Coach Loxley had to say about it. Tyrese is one of those great kids that joined our program for a year. He left for personal reasons, and he had a few things going on in his life that he felt he needs to take care of. We're in full support of him, still in school, finishing up classes, and he still has access to the academic stuff that we do for him. First of all, that's why one of the reasons I love Coach Loxley. It's all about a family dynamic to Coach Loxley. It's about more than football to Coach Loxley. Sure, we can fault him for the game plan against Northwestern and how we played against Northwestern and how we played against Illinois. Sure, we can be upset about him for that. But off the field, Coach Loxley seems to I love a lot of things he says at the mic. And I love stuff like this. If Tyrese Chambers has personal issues, don't make it harder on him when finishing up classes. Don't try and say, nah, you can't have access to our academic support anymore because you're not part of the team, and that's only for the team. Make it easier on the kid when he's going through a tough time in his life. That's what I love about Coach Loxley. It's more than football for him. But Tyrese Chambers has said he is going to start recovering because he wants to start preparing for the NFL draft. I actually looked at his Twitter the other day, and it said NFL Draft 2024 in his bio, I'm pretty sure. And so it's clear that he plans to get ready for the NFL draft. So it's not – football isn't done for him. I'm going to be honest. I don't foresee him getting drafted, and that's just me being completely honest with how things went this year and how he had a very limited role transferring and coming up and playing Big Ten football. He just didn't look as impactful and as explosive as a playmaker as we may have thought coming in that he put up at like FIU and the other schools he had been at. But that's just me being honest. But anything can happen. And in the NFL, one thing I learned when I interned with the Ravens is that they scout everyone. Every school, basically, they scout. The scouting department watches film on basically every school. From the Alabamas to the small schools in Maryland, like Towson, they scout everyone. And basically, if you're a solid football player, you're going to have a chance to be in someone's camp. So I expect Tyrese Chambers to be in someone's camp and to get signed overall, but it's going to be really hard for him to make a roster overall. But that's what he's preparing for, and I can't blame him for going out and trying to reach his dream. But he also said he wasn't happy with his role, but he said that didn't affect his choice. I mean, I just talked about that a little bit, how I kind of saw it coming because he wasn't playing as much as we thought. We thought he was going to be a high-impact guy. We thought he was going to be one of our leading receivers, and that hasn't happened at all. But per Football Focus, he never played above 30 snaps in the game. And the role that the Maryland coaching staff wanted for him didn't quite align with what Tyrese Chambers wanted for himself or thought was best for himself. And this is what he kind of said. He said, you guys see what's going on. I don't play very much. And his mom also agreed with him saying, everybody's wondering where 0 is. It's not adding up, she said. So I think they're quite disappointed with basically how things transpired. And how Coach Loxley and Coach Brewer, the wide receiver coach, how they kind of, I guess, misleaded him in his role. And honestly, I don't think that's true. I don't think that's what happened. I think if you looked at it, the way he started in the spring game, remember the spring game? He was so happy to be a Terp. He kept saying, this is my dream school. This is where I'm from. This is where I want to be. Playing here is awesome. And he scored 2 touchdowns in that game. And everyone thought he was going to be the key in that, or a big part of that wide receiver room. And he got outplayed. It's pretty simple as that. Everybody knows when you're playing a college sport that if someone's outplaying you, the coaches are going to play the best player. That's just how it is. If he was outplaying Ty Felton from the start, then he would have been getting all these snaps. But Ty Felton was outplaying him pretty easily, and the rest of the wide receiver room was too. And so I kind of disagree with that. I think they thought his role was going to be one thing, but when he got there, he just wasn't playing as good as Ty Felton, so they couldn't hold Ty Felton back because they wanted to give Tyrese what they thought he was going to become. So that's kind of what I think about the situation, but it's kind of sad to see him go. But look for Octavian Smith to kind of step up. Octavian Smith already was getting a good amount of snaps, but we'll see who else could step up in that wide receiver room to take over that 4th, 5th option in that room. Look out for Shalik Knotts to make an impact. Penn State game could make or break our season. I'll tell you why after this ad from FanDuel. Right? Score early this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with winning $5 on money line bets. So if you bet on the Maryland Terrapins money line, you can make some money. That's $150 if the Terps win or whoever your team may be. And if you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads. Like Maryland was favored the past couple, or favored by multiple touchdowns the last couple of weeks. If you would have chosen Illinois or Northwestern to cover the spread against the Terps, you would have made money. But they also got stuff like player props, over-unders, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, the official partner of the NFL. The Penn State game will make or break the Terps season. It's a tough place to be. Penn State coming to us and me saying that it's going to make or break our season. I'm not going to say it's a must-win game. I said the Northwestern game and was a must-win game. This isn't a must-win game. We're not expected to win this game. I can't sit here and say it's a must-win game for the Maryland Terrapins to beat Penn State because, honestly, that's not realistic. We've lost 3 straight, 2 straight to teams that aren't the best teams in college football and in the Big Ten. There's no other way to put it. They're not the best teams they're not one of the best teams. They're not one of the teams that we thought we shouldn't have lost to, teams that we were favored against. So I'm not going to say beating Penn State is a must. But beating Penn State will make or break our season. We are on a 3-game losing streak. Like I said, we've lost 3 straight games and 2 straight to 2 teams that we had no business losing to. And everything that we kind of expected this season to become in the first 5 weeks of the season and how we went out 5-0 and we were on top of the world and we thought we had made it and we thought this was going to be a successful season. We thought maybe we could get to 10 wins. I thought maybe we could go undefeated outside of the Big 3. That's in the past. This season is inching closer and closer. We keep getting closer. We're about to fall off the edge of the mountain, and it looks like it's going to be a failure and like we're going to fall off the mountain. That's what the season looks like because we look at what Coach Locksley has done, and he's added at least one win every single year that he's been a Maryland Terrapin coach. 2 years ago, 7 wins. Last year, 8 wins. And I've said this, to make this a successful season, I've said that Maryland has to get to at least 9 wins. And right now, we are not set up to get 9 wins in terms of where we're going to be favored in and what is supposed to transpire on paper. We're not supposed to be Penn State. We're not supposed to be Michigan. That's 2 losses right there already to get us to 5 losses. And we can still get to 8 wins if we go undefeated and win a bowl game, undefeated outside of Penn State and Michigan. But that's kind of what we did last year. And although that's not a bad season, I kind of look at it as a bad season. And Talia's last year and all that he's accomplished as a Maryland quarterback, I don't know what we're going to look like next year. I don't know if it's going to be the same that it's been the last couple of years. I don't know if we can continue this winning record. I don't know. I hope we do. I hope Billy Edwards can step in and take over that quarterback role and do some things that Talia wasn't able to, or if they recruit a transfer, whatever Coach Locksley decides to do overall. But with what we have in Talia and saying this is Coach Locksley's best team, 8 wins isn't good enough for me. And if we go to 5-4, almost 500, that's not good enough for me. So I think this Penn State game makes or breaks our season. This win can make it look. We can look at the season and we can look at it as a success. Honestly, I think if we beat Penn State, we can honestly look at this season as a success. If we lose to Penn State and we continue to lose games, it's really going to be hard for us to look at it as a good season. But if we get a signature win and at home against a top 10 team in the country and a team that is super talented, that has elite players all over the place, especially on defense, if we can find a way to pull off an upset, I think you can twist this season into something that maybe it's not exactly and say that we had a good season because we brought down one of the big 3. And I'm sure if I would have asked some Maryland Terrapin fans, maybe not me, I don't know if I would say this, but if I would have asked some of you guys, what would you have preferred? Maryland to lose to Northwestern and Illinois, but they beat Penn State at home. I'm sure a lot of you guys would have said beat Penn State at home. So I think this game makes or breaks our season. It can make it, and we can look at this as a good year because we beat Penn State, and Penn State's an extremely important team to beat. That team consistently beats us out for. They beat out a guy that we had that in Jalen Harvey, a 4-star edge rusher that was from Maryland, went to Quince Orchard, which is not far from Maryland at all. And they beat him out for him. And he was a guy that we really wanted, a guy that's a really good pass rusher, that's going to be a really good player. And I don't blame him for going to Penn State, honestly. It's going to be hard to get on the field. And I would like to say stay in the DMV. It's better for you. But overall, Penn State is really a good program. They're really good at developing recruits. And it's going to be hard for us to beat out teams like Penn State when we haven't shown the ability to beat those teams. Players like to go to winning places. So if we want to put us in position for recruiting and for us to look at this season as a success and make our season instead of breaking our season, I think the Terps have to win this game after losing to Northwestern and Illinois. I think it's the only way to make up for those 2 losses and turning in a successful season that looked really good into a 3-game losing streak, into 2 teams that we should have beat, and an Ohio State team that we were in the game for. So Penn State game makes or breaks our season. I want to talk about a Maryland freshman for basketball that is flying under the radar for the Terps. We'll talk about that after this ad from eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience is what brings home the winning trophy. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance, from superchargers, roof racks, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered with over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die. You'll always find exactly what you're looking for with eBay Guaranteed Fit. Your parts is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit. Available only to U.S. customers. Terps freshman Jonathan Lamoth is going under the radar. Jonathan Lamoth, 6'4", attended St. Francis from Baltimore, is being overshadowed by Deshaun Harris and Jamie Kaiser. Two really good players. They're both going to start. Deshaun's probably going to start at the 2, or he is going to start at the 2. And Jamie Kaiser's probably going to start at the 3, more than likely. Maybe it's Jordan Geronimo. We'll see. Maryland basketball is a week away, believe it or not. After this weekend, we're going to have football and basketball to talk about, which I'm ecstatic for because I'll have something to really dig into every single day. Like on Monday, we'll talk about what happened in the Penn State game. On Tuesday, we'll foreshadow the Maryland basketball game that they have. It's going to be an awesome time for the Maryland fans, but we're here to talk about Jonathan Lamoth. Overall, he's under the radar. I think we forget this kid was a 4-star too. He's really good. And trust me, I have seen him play in person with my own 2 eyes in the stands right up front in the front row, and Jonathan was killing the opposing team. This kid can ball, and his game is going to translate to college, and I think down the road he's going to be a huge impact player for the Terps. I think next year, depending on what happens with the point guard position and how they use the transfer portal and just overall what happens, he definitely has a chance to start at the point guard position next year. He's going to be an impact player. He's going to be really good, and I don't know what his role is this year because I have no idea what is going on in practice and how he's playing. But a lot of people expect him to come off the bench and give good minutes. So don't be surprised, especially early on when we're playing like St. Mary's on Tuesday, when a game that we should win big. He should play a lot of minutes in that type of game. And I'm going to be really interested to see what he does. But like I said, he was a 4-star out of high school as well. And he's a 3-level scorer. If you haven't seen him play and don't know a lot about Lamoth, he can shoot the ball. He'll take some crazy shots, but he can make them. He's a shot maker, and then also really can finish well. Both hands, has a really nice layup package with different finishes all over the place. Really can score the ball on all 3 levels, can pass the ball, plays with a really high IQ. That's one thing I saw when I saw him play live. But overall, I think he can do some things this year for the Terps. Don't be surprised if he's in the rotation and playing pretty big minutes for the Maryland Terrapins, and that would align for the 3 of the 4 of the freshmen and to play pretty big minutes, which is awesome for the future of the Terps. But people always talk about Kaiser. They talk about Deshaun Harris-Smith and how Deshaun Harris-Smith might win Big Ten Freshman of the Year and all this stuff. But don't forget about Jonathan. I'm sure he has a mental note in his head. I know he's boys with those guys, but he's like, you guys are overlooking me. All I do is read stories about Deshaun and Kaiser. I'm going to prove to everyone that I'm on that level too. And I think he has a chance to do that. Maybe not this year, even though I do think he'll play this year, but definitely next year. But that's all we have today. Thank you for listening to Locked on Terps. Make sure you like and subscribe. We're here every single day talking Maryland basketball and Maryland football. So make sure you like and subscribe, especially if you're a Terps fan. But thank you for listening to Locked on Terps.